I had an interesting experience the other day where I was trying to check into a new hotel, and for the very first time at the check-in counter, they asked to see my COVID-19 vaccination certificate. I got vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine a little while ago. I got the 2 full doses, and after 2 or 3 weeks, I got the official vaccine certificate, and I got the yellow booklet, the International Vaccine Passport. So the certificate is required for domestic travel within Thailand, and then the yellow booklet would be for when you leave Thailand and travel to other countries. And I got the vaccination, the Pfizer vaccine, as I said, and I got both documents. Everything was all finished. But at this hotel, it was the very first time that someone asked to see one of them. And it was actually a bit puzzling because I knew I had put it away, like the actual paper certificate, I had put it away inside my normal documents pouch where I keep all of my ID and important documents. But I have a few different sections in that pouch, and I wasn't entirely sure where I had put it. So there I was standing at the counter, rummaging through this little bag. You know, I'd already given them my booking confirmation for the room, I'd given them my passport, we dealt with all the formalities, but now we had this new thing. Where is your vaccine certificate? So I was like, oh, actually, I don't know where it is, and I'm rummaging through this little bag, trying to find it. I eventually found it, gave them the piece of paper, and everything was fine. I actually asked the clerk at the hotel what would have happened if I wasn't vaccinated, or if I was vaccinated but I did not have the actual certificate. She said that she would not be allowed to check me into the hotel until I registered with the local health authority, and then I would have to get one of the tests. I'm not very clear on the vocabulary or the terminology for the various tests that are out there, but she mentioned one of them. She said I would have to go get this test officially through the local health authority, get proof that I tested negative, and then return with the documents to the hotel. And then if I presented that, then I would be allowed to stay at that hotel. So it was a very good thing that I was vaccinated and I had the vaccine certificate. It would have been very complicated otherwise. So I went through that whole process, and then I was chatting with a friend of mine about this, and he said, well, what you should do is download the official app for Thailand. The government here has developed a smartphone app that is essentially a complete record of your COVID-19 vaccination status. And people call it the Mor Prom app, and I've also seen it called the Mo Prompt. It's got different spellings in English, you know, based on how it's pronounced, but I think the most standard one is Mor Prom is the app. And I knew about this app, I just hadn't downloaded it, mainly because no one ever asked to see it. In the travels I've done around this part of Thailand, all the checkpoints, everyone is looking at my passport and looking at my visa status to make sure that I'm in the country legally, and they also need to see that at hotel check-in. But so far, no one had questioned me about a vaccine of any kind. So I hadn't even thought about downloading the app. And I'd heard little rumors here and there about people having trouble with it. Just your usual glitches. This isn't working, that isn't working. And I just basically kept postponing downloading the app because I didn't feel a need for it. But after this process at the hotel, having to dig out my vaccine certificate, the paper certificate, I thought, well, why don't we look into this app and download it, see if I'm able to register and see what this thing is all about. Even if I don't end up using it that often or ever, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see what this thing looked like. Because at this point, I'm not even aware if other countries have it. I've been here in Thailand for the entire pandemic. I haven't been to another country, so I don't know what the situation really is over in other places. Are other countries developing a domestic smartphone app that you register on, and then you, as you travel around the country, you have to show this app to people, to the authorities, in order to check in at hotels, go through checkpoints. Do other countries have this sort of system? I'm not aware. I don't know. Maybe every country has one and I just don't know about it. Or maybe Thailand is unique. But all of that is just leading up to what I wanted to do in this video, is show you what the Mor Prom app looks like. Downloading the app to my smartphone was relatively straightforward. I use an Android phone for all of my apps. My whole app life is based on Android. So I went to the Google Play Store, typed in Mor Prom, and it eventually found the app. I'll show you what the app icon looks like. And once I found it, I installed it onto my phone. And then there was a little bit of a confusion. There's always something, right? And it wasn't major, but I kept getting an error message. Like right at the very beginning, I just got big error messages. Something was wrong. And I thought, okay, that's it. I've already, I haven't even started and I've hit a dead end. Here's an error message. I can't get beyond this step. And I just kind of assumed that would happen. I assumed that I wouldn't be able to use this app for one reason or another. There's always some kind of a problem, right? But I started fiddling around a little bit, and it turned out that the problem was on my phone. I was connected to a Wi-Fi network in the hotel, and I had mobile data turned on at the same time. And to be honest, I don't really understand how those two interact. It feels like they should both be on. Why should there be a conflict between them to have Wi-Fi and mobile data? But it seemed that having the two of them on at the same time was interfering with the Mor Prom app system sending a confirmation code to my phone number. Because you have to have a phone number to do any of this, of course. You have to have a Thailand-based phone number because they have to send you a confirmation code. And they were trying to send me the code, apparently, but it wasn't getting to my phone. And that's where the error message was coming from. And I was just fiddling around. All the error messages were in Thai, of course, so I couldn't read any of them. I tried to do Google Translate, but nothing made any sense when I used Google Translate. So I thought I'd hit a dead end. But then I remembered this thing about conflict between Wi-Fi and mobile data. So I was having a lot of trouble in the hotel with Wi-Fi. This hotel had very, very poor Wi-Fi. That may have been the problem. But also my phone number is more connected with mobile data. So I thought, okay, let's try that. I turned off Wi-Fi and had my phone only hooked up to mobile data. And as soon as I did that, the error messages cleared out. And I got a confirmation code. I entered that code into the Mor Prom app. And then suddenly I was allowed to log in with my 13-digit code. I created a simple password for my own account on my phone, and then it opened up the app. And I was overall pleased with it. I was surprised at what it looked like. It was more advanced than I thought. I'll show you what it looks like. The main screen has my full name up at the top, and then below that you can choose whether it's in Thai or English. Mine showed up in English automatically, but if it didn't, of course, I would have switched to English. And then there's some sort of information there about the new, it looks like it's a news window giving updates. So this one that I'm looking at right now is about the Omicron variant. But below that, that's when you get to the meat and potatoes of the app. Top left, there's a box there that says vaccinated, which I find quite interesting. So the very first thing you see is my vaccination status that says vaccinated, so you can just show someone this screen and they can look right at that and go, oh, he's vaccinated. And then you have got a bunch of buttons. The very first one on the right is COVID-19 vaccination records. So it has a little ID card and then a hypodermic needle. Click on that and you actually get a list of all of your vaccine doses that you've received. And I've gotten 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. And I was quite surprised to see the level of information that was in here. So it gives the name of the manufacturer, Comirnaty, 1 dose, gives the date of the vaccination, the lot number of that vaccination, which I assume came from the manufacturer, the vaccination site, that's in Thai. I assume that says, the name of the hospital where I went. And then you can click on the See More button and you get even more information, my blood pressure at the time, my weight, height, temperature, the date of my appointment, and even the time of the vaccine, which was apparently at 3:09 and 5 seconds in the afternoon. So this is kind of interesting because when I went through the whole vaccination process, I felt like I was sailing through the system without any records being kept, because every time I went to get a vaccine, to get a shot, I would walk out of the hospital with nothing. I had no papers, I had no documents, I had no proof that anything had happened, and I was kind of concerned that there was no official record of any of this going on. But apparently, everything that had happened was on paper and it was eventually entered into a computer record. So that is my first dose of the vaccine. And below that, there's dose number 2, also has the lot number of the vaccine and my blood pressure and height and temperature. And for this one, it doesn't actually have the time that I was vaccinated. For whatever reason, that information wasn't recorded. So those are the vaccination records. And I assume if I got a booster, like an official booster through the system within Thailand, that would show up here automatically through the hospital system. Next button, COVID-19 test results. When I click on that, it says no record found, because I've never gone in for a COVID-19 test anywhere. So if I had, I guess it would show up here. And the next one is probably the most important one. That is the COVID-19 vaccine certificate. I click on that and I get a nice computer image of my full vaccine certificate, giving all the information, my address, 13-digit code, and then there's a QR code, which I assume hotels and police officers or medical authorities can use that QR code to take me directly to the official database computer record about me. So I think when I checked into the hotel and they asked me for my vaccine certificate, they were probably surprised that I dug out a piece of paper. They were probably expecting me to pull up this digital copy and just hand them my phone, and then they would scan the QR code and we would be done. But because I gave them a paper copy, I guess they had to make a photocopy of it or take a picture, with their phone. But in the future, if this comes up, I will just show them the digital copy of my vaccine certificate. There's something here called a post-vaccination symptoms survey. And I didn't do any kind of official survey. And when I click on that, there's some kind of a survey here, but it is all in Thai. I wouldn't know how to fill that out even if I wanted to, but that whole screen is blank at the moment. Then there's another button for ATK RT-PCR results. I don't know how that is different from the other button, which is COVID-19 test results. I guess this is a specific type of test, but again, when I click on that, it just says no record found, because I haven't done any kind of testing at all. Next one is sort of like an online maps pin, and it says Mor Prom station near me. So as I said, I normally hear it called Mor Prom, but sometimes it's spelled Mor Prom. And when I click on that, the first time I did it anyway, I ended up with a map of Thailand, like where I am, the city that I'm in, and it shows a little man, like a man-shaped pin showing my location, and then it shows me the nearest Mor Prom station to where I am. And that seems to work, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what a Mor Prom station is, why I need to know where they're located. Maybe that is where I would have to go if I wasn't vaccinated and I had to go in for testing and report to the local health authorities. Maybe that's where I have to go. but I'm just guessing. Very interesting button next is called the Digital Health Pass, and it basically summarizes all the information on one screen: my name, passport number, my vaccination status. But then it says right underneath that, there's something about COVID-19 recovery status. So I guess if I had had COVID and they knew about it officially, and then they would keep track of me and it would show up here, my recovery process, have I recovered from COVID? And then there's something under that, which I assume is some kind of a test. And again, it's all data not found, data not found. And then there's the same QR code for my record. So I guess this is a quick summary page that I can present to officials, and it shows them everything on one convenient screen. Bottom left corner is the international certificate, and I'm assuming that this QR code and the information here is linked into international systems. I do have my yellow booklet, so I can always just hand the yellow booklet over to authorities at immigration or customs or health processing at an airport. But perhaps this will also come in handy someday, or maybe it's only used inside Thailand. I'm not sure. This might be, as I said, only useful within Thailand, but I'm not sure about that. And at the very bottom, there is the vaccination dashboard. And this is all in Thai, so I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think it is basically COVID-19 news. It's basically giving a summary of the situation in Thailand right now, a snapshot, all the numbers, how many new cases there are, how many people have been vaccinated, how many have had their first dose, second dose, booster doses, a complete breakdown of the situation in Thailand as a whole for vaccination. So I think that's just for, personal information. It has nothing to do with me personally. So there you have it. There's the Mor Prom app. Overall, yeah, I'm quite impressed with it. The fact that it works impresses me. The amount of information available on there impresses me, and the way that it is laid out. And there's a sprinkling of Thai and English in there, but for someone like me that doesn't speak or read Thai at all, I find it quite easy to navigate through the whole system. Oh, one more thing. At the very top, there is another little pin, and it's like a Google Maps kind of pin. And when you click on that, it takes you to a check-in page. And I haven't done this yet, so I'm not quite sure how this would work. It's telling me that in order to use it, I have to turn on Bluetooth and location services on my phone. But both of those are already on my phone. But it says beacon not found. But I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do at this point. If I did want to check in, there's a yellow box there that says check in. So maybe by clicking on check in, it will activate this system and give Mor Prom the permission to access my location via my phone. And maybe right now it doesn't have automatic permission, and that's why nothing is showing up at this point. There's a scan device button, but it doesn't do anything right now. But I have not physically, done anything with the location button yet. I haven't checked in. But I guess if this could be used for two reasons, I guess. It's tracing and tracking. If you test positive at some point, then your travel history can be recorded on there, and then they can have an idea of where you went and who you might have come in contact with. Or conversely, you could get notified if you happen to be near other people that have tested positive for COVID-19, because there's a little bell at the very top. So maybe if I check in at a certain hotel in a certain town, the system will then look to see if other people have checked in at the same place and whether any of them have tested positive, and then I might get an alert to tell me that there might be people around me who tested positive for COVID-19. I don't know. I'm just guessing that that's how the system works. So that's it. Mor Prom app here in Thailand. Yeah, it was a lot of fun downloading it and going through the system. I was expecting it to be more glitchy than it is. I thought things would go wrong. I thought things wouldn't work. But overall, it seems quite stable on my phone. All the information is pretty clearly laid out. And yeah, I'm kind of, next time I check into a hotel, and in fact, actually, I'm in a new hotel right now. It's a small kind of family-run hotel. And I was so excited about having the Mor Prom app. I kind of wanted them to ask me about my vaccination status, because I wanted to whip out the phone and, you know, hit, I'm not sure which one they want to see. Vaccine certificate, bang, there it is. Or vaccination dashboard, no, not dashboard, what's the other one? Health pass, digital health pass. You know, now that I have it, I wanted to use it. But it seems like the rules tend to be applied at the hotel where they asked me for my vaccine certificate. It was a big hotel, like a big 4-star, more official kind of place. And I guess because of their size and the fact that I think it's an international chain, they have to abide more carefully by the rules. They're being monitored, so they actually enforce the rules, is what I'm trying to say, at the big hotels. But at a small family-run hotel, they're not enforcing, you know, we must check the vaccine certificate of every guest. You know, they're not doing that at the small hotels. As I said, this big hotel was the first time that the subject came up at all. So I hope that was mildly interesting, a little slice of life from here in Thailand.